Hi everyone, my name is Victoria Fernandez and welcome to my channel. I live to inspire mental health. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I post weekly videos about mental health and my experience with bipolar disorder. So in today's video, we're going to talk about how life goes on beyond high school. But before we start, I do want to tell you guys that I have made playlists for you guys to find videos in an easier way, such as separated by bipolar episode videos or separated by my experience with Google and so much more. So I wanted to talk about this because I know that a lot of people in high school and even college have struggled or are struggling right now with their mental health. I mean, right now our society is going through the worst parts of it, not only with what's going on right now in the world, but in general, even before all this was happening, high schoolers and people in college are so sad and it's a really hard time, and I experienced all of that, whether it was in high school and even my first years in college. So basically, as you guys have seen through my stories, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was 17 years old. But before that, I had obviously symptoms and I was very depressed, very sad, and they were one of the worst years of my life. I struggled so much, and I think there's a lot of misconceptions about high school being the best time of your life, and you feel all this pressure of having the best time ever and being happy, and then you fall into this false perception that life doesn't get better, that this is it, that this is all you have to look forward to. But the truth is that that's not true. That's false, because life gets so much better. Life changes so much. And in high school, when you're a teenager, those can be the worst years of your life. Not for everyone. Some people have amazing childhood. Some people have amazing friends and times, and they don't have a mental illness, or they're not really struggling with something, and that's amazing for them. But a lot of us, we're not like that, or we didn't experience that necessarily. And I mean, having a mental illness while going through high school is a very difficult moment, because first you're stuck with the same people all the time. So it's like you feel like you have to hide a part of yourself because you'll be judged. And that is so hard. And also in high school, our hormones are just crazy. They're all over the place. So that mental illness is even worse because you have all these racing thoughts, you have feelings of depression, you're struggling with your self-image and so much more, which makes it extremely difficult to just have, a normal life or a normal experience in high school. And I mean, you can't really be fooled. Like, for example, I had friends in high school. I had happy moments, but I also had really terrible moments where people weren't seeing me and I was, crumbling down. My life was just terrible. And I think a lot of it has to also do with the fact that a lot of kids, teenagers, and even adults, but I think this mostly happens in school, don't really understand what mental health is. They don't really understand mental illnesses, so they're very quick to judge whenever they don't understand somebody else's actions. So for example, I used to cry a lot. I was very sentimental, and I was labeled because of that, and I was labeled as annoying, as too much, too intense, this and that, which really hurt my self-esteem. And that was extremely hard. I mean, one of my goals in life is definitely to do whatever I can to make high schools have this education, not even just high schools, but junior highs, elementaries, teaching kids about mental health, teaching kids about mental illnesses and acceptance and how to deal with different things and different people. Because if you do that, then we have a lot more acceptance and people will be able to get help in an easier way, and hopefully it'll all be better. But right now, the system is lacking in that. The system's not very great, and even I in high school, when I was struggling with this stuff, I tried to make a difference by, bringing help, but it wasn't accepted very well, so it didn't work out. But my goal is always to come back to this because it's one of the hardest parts in life. The good news is that life is not just high school. Life is not just college. And I'm mentioning college because the first 2 years of college for me were really rough. It was really hard for me for a lot of different reasons, but my mental illness wasn't completely in control yet. And it was better, but I was, living on my own, having to deal with stress, this and that. I would have panic attacks all the time. I had a lot of struggles with food and self-image, and it was so much. And also, I do want to say that, it's not just girls who go, like, who have trouble with their self-image. It's guys too, and anybody, you know, everybody. We're all humans and we all go through feelings and all that kind of stuff. So it's important to realize it, and it's okay, whoever you are, like, you are allowed to have these feelings. But as I said, it goes beyond that. See, when I was in high school, I was very suicidal. I had a lot of suicidal thoughts. I was very depressed, and I was in this bubble thinking that life was never going to change. You know, it's easy to fall into that. It's easy when everything seems terrible. And you know, like, there's people who struggle with their parents, so it's like it's hard for them to see a life past living in that environment where it's not helping their mental health, where it's, you know, not a good place for them. So that's another thing. You're in high school, you don't have that much control over your life. You don't have that much control over the things that you do or don't do, about people judging you or not judging you. And it's really freaking hard to not let those things get to you. It used to get to me so much what people said about me, the way that people thought about me. I would get so much social anxiety, and it's things that I'm still working on today. But it's gotten better because I got help, because I got out of that system, out of, you know, feeling trapped in high school with the same people, with all that kind of stuff that wasn't really helping me. But the good thing is, you know, even though I was having these thoughts that I, you know, hated myself, that I couldn't go on any longer, my life felt really terrible, I kept fighting, and it was so worth it. Like, I cannot express to you enough how much life changes, how much it doesn't matter what you think you are in right now, it won't last forever. I know it feels like it is, your hormones are telling you that it is, but it's not. You're going to grow older, you're going to change, you're going to meet new people, you're gonna be exposed to different, you know, experiences, and everything is different. For me, college was completely different from high school. I still struggled, but I struggled less than in high school. And then, you know, it's evolving, and I've been able to see how worthy it was for me to keep living, to keep fighting with the opportunities that I have. Like, you know, even the things that I've been able to do this year, like my internship with Google, and going back in a year from now, what would have happened, or it wouldn't have happened, if I would have ended my story, if I would have ended my life whenever I was in high school. Because you know, I am so happy that I fighting, and that's why I'm making this video, to tell you that life changes, that life is not just this moment, but there's so much more to it, and that it might suck so much, but I'm begging you to please keep fighting. Because all those things, all these terrible feelings you're feeling inside, a lot of it is because you're a teenager, and that's normal. But they're intensified if you have a mental illness, and that's also normal, that your mental illness is making you feel all these things. But you also can overcome. You can have a healthy life, you know, past your mental illness. And I mean, it's something you learn to live with. I think it's about coping mechanisms. I know it might feel impossible right now. It might feel so hard to, you know, cope with what people think about you, cope with getting good grades, cope with family stuff, and self-image, and all these thoughts of hurting yourself, depression, or being an outcast. It's so hard. But life gets better, and you can learn how to live with those things and how to make them better. If you get help, if you go to a psychiatrist, if you see a therapist constantly, like as much as you can, like every week, for example, I go every week, even though I'm not in a crisis right now. And those things are going to help you become the best version of yourself. And you can live a normal life. There's so many people out there who have mental illnesses, more than you guys know. 1 in 5 adults in the United States have a mental illness. That's a lot of people. And, you know, people just, it can be a silent illness. You can't tell sometimes, you know. We can sometimes be smiling and super happy, and then inside we suffer with anxiety and just wanting to leave somewhere, or be crumbling inside with depression. And no one might know. So mental illnesses are hard to tell that somebody has it sometimes, but they're there, and there's a lot of successful people who have been able to manage those feelings and this illness and live a healthy and normal life and conquer all their dreams, because it is so possible. And I mean, I've talked to you guys before about seeing the positive things in life, in the sense of like, okay, I have a mental illness, but I'm going to look at the positive things out of it. I've always talked about how bipolar disorder gives some creativity to the person who has it. I have a lot of creativity, and yes, sometimes it sucked to be up until 3 in the morning with all these racing thoughts, and I had to take medications to, help me with that. But at the same time, some of those ideas and things, came to me because of the illness that I have. And this channel, like thinking about this channel, came to me because of the illness that I have. Without going through what I went through, I wouldn't be here today, actually helping people and following my dreams. So there's always something positive out of every situation. You just have to change your mindset. And it's not easy. It's not from one day to another. It really isn't. But it's possible. And I think it's really important for you to understand that these years are not supposed to be the best years of your life. That's a very sad way of looking at life. Like imagine, thinking life is just going to, this is it. Like this is the best of it. This is the top of the hill, and that's it. Then like you have what? 70 years or 60 years more of what? Misery, or not life being this like better or whatever. Then of course people are going to be sad. Of course people are not going to be hopeful for the future if we're told that. But that's just simply not the reality. For a lot of us, life gets better after. We just have to survive that moment and then keep going, so then we can get to the good part. So we can get to the part where we know how to manage our emotions, and we can have healthy relationships, and we can have a good job and all these blessings in life. But you have to keep going, and trust me, you can get there. I got here, and I never thought in a million years when I was a junior in high school that I'd ever go beyond all of that and actually conquering my dreams or be here where I am today. I really didn't. And the fact is that I grabbed onto that feeling of finding a purpose, of finding the positivity in things. And I worked with my mind, and with the help of my psychiatrist, my psychologist, I got through it. So if I can do it, you can do it as well. So please don't stop fighting. And I actually saw a quote yesterday which stated something like, if we always listen to our friends when they tell us to watch a Netflix show, and even though we don't like the first episodes, we keep watching it because they tell us it'll get better. So what if we looked at our own lives like that? Instead of focusing on the beginning and it being slow, we focus on what it could be. It was something where along those lines. And I'll put the picture of the quote up here so you guys can actually read the true aspect of it. But it's true. If we gave ourselves patience, if we allowed ourselves to kind of live through this moment, survive this moment, and then see how things get better, that's a good way to think about it, to help you keep going. So I wanted to make this video because I was in your shoes at one point. I was in your shoes and not knowing what to do, and even college wasn't that great at the beginning. But little by little, things got better. Little by little, my mental illness got better. My hormones got a little better. My medications worked better. And these years can be one of some of the hardest years of our lives. And that's okay, because we can only go up from here. So if you like this video, please, please, please don't forget to like it, comment, and please subscribe and share with your friends, somebody who should listen to this message. And I truly hope that it helps and that it gives you a little bit of motivation. And always remember that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and a bad day does not mean a bad life.